Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I am your host. And today I'm here with Nadja Fromm, and she is a great business woman and has several clients. She knows how to run her business, and today is the day. If you want to learn how to do that, then listen up. So, without further ado, Nadja, why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Charisse.
Mhm.
Well, my story starts 20 years ago. I spent, well, over 2 decades now climbing the corporate ladder. I managed global brands like Colgate, Linton Springly, Kraft Foods. I was holding executive roles. And on paper, I was really living the dream. The higher I climbed, though, the more I felt that I was losing touch with myself. And my wake-up call really came during a job where I was constantly preparing for high-stakes board meetings, and the company kept slashing resources. And in the end, I was supposed to perform miracles, but I just couldn't control the outcomes. And it was really, really a soul-crushing experience. One day I found myself sitting at my front of my laptop. I was unable to focus. My mind was just blank. That was my corporate burnout. I knew that that is not a sustainable way for me to live any longer. And that burnout really was my breaking point, but also my breakthrough.
Mhm.
So I decided to walk away from that grind and I created a life that really aligned with my values. And now I help others to escape that hamster wheel from that corporate world and help them build their business. That gives them the freedom and the fulfillment that I spent years and years searching. Now, I'll be upfront. I'm not a mom myself, but I have two big dogs and they act like toddlers. I'm a proud aunt. I'm surrounded by so many incredible friends that balance the business and motherhood. And I see firsthand these very unique challenges that come with building something that you're truly proud of and truly excited about while raising a family. And I have so much respect for the juggle. And yeah, while my journey looks a little different, I know what it's like to feel pulled in the million directions and to crave a business that actually fits your life instead of the other way around. And that's exactly what I do now. I help people build businesses that work for them and not the other way around.
Yeah, I think that that is so great because I remember if people listen to my story, I had a little different situation where I busted my behind, like to the point where I stayed overnight and got the next day trying to get a school accredited, set my kids up to their aunts for a month, and so that I could get this accredited. As soon as we got it accredited, I come in my office and my boss is sitting there with someone else, and he's like, "Okay, meet your replacement," and I'm like, "What?" Um, yeah.
Wow.
And the CEO had a best friend that lived in Florida and wanted to move back to Utah with family, and he needed a job. So my job was up all of a sudden. And they waited till I got it accredited because this guy doesn't really know what he's doing. But it's just crazy that no matter what you give to the corporate world, there's always more to give. And so that was the start of my, okay, you know what? I think I'm done
Yeah.
type situation.
It's devastating. You pour your life and your soul and so many hours away from your family. You pour it into your job. And for me, it was, my mental health and everything. I just literally gave it all up. And the moment you're not able to perform or the moment they want to replace you, it's just, you just a number in the P&L. Like that's all that you're left. And that's just something that is for me a big red flag and something that just shows me that we're not made to be in this 9 to 5 hamster wheel, that there's so much more to life. And while the grind and the hustle is still real, it does feel different when you do it on your own terms, right?
Yeah, I coached with somebody that he a billionaire, like multi-billionaire. And I've sat in many meetings because of the group that we do, and they do this 9 a.m. huddle, I guess is what they call it, where all of I mean, there's probably 50 employees. They all stand around the room, and each department gives their wins for the day before. And they hold lots of events, they do lots of things, and it's very interesting to me as I sit there watching. I hate it. And I think it's because I used to be there. And for somebody like they expect that person, they prefer to see people that are single and young because they're hungry, don't have families, and they can work 7 days a week. And I just in 12-hour days, like they give and give and give, and they expect that. And if you're not that type of person, like I'm like, I could never do that. But I mean, these people are thriving, they're doing really well, but it's like, how long can you sustain that before eventually? Because they're all young. There's very few older people.
Yeah.
So it's a time for a season, I guess. But say that that person, they have done that for 10 years. Now they're married. Now they start to have kids or animals, like whatever.
Yeah.
Um, there's a breakup that you talk about from the corporate grind. So how
Yes.
did somebody leave that job, that's stability, that's a W-2, that going to entrepreneurship?
Breaking up with that corporate grind, that definitely feels like ending a toxic relationship, as you just said. It's hurting you, but it is still hard to walk away. So for years I was stuck in that hamster wheel, and I was, you just described it so well, and I've got like kind of goosebumps and almost like a little of like this PTSD feeling that I just thought I could never feel like I was getting anywhere, right? You just spin your wheels and yet it just doesn't feel fulfilling. And I really bought into that idea that this job security and that paycheck, that equaled success. But here's the truth,
Mhm.
like that grind is a trap. And breaking up with corporate is not about just quitting. For me, it is reclaiming your life. And it really was that decision to stop trading my time and my energy for somebody else's version of success and for somebody else's dream. Because real security doesn't come from a paycheck. It comes from knowing that you're in control of your future. And it's not easy, but once you take that leap, you realize how much more you're capable of. Because we just told you have to fit in this mold, you have to put in your hours, there's a certain behavior and a certain attitude that is prescribed. But I'll tell you, once you find your way, where you can be completely yourself, you find your true self, you can live and act in alignment with your own integrity, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And that is where you can, it's this wake up call. It's the awakening of, oh wow, I'm capable of so much more and I don't have to live from performance review to performance review.
And and even worse, they might not get to that performance review. Like this economy, I just came back from this 4-day intensive marketing slash business conference, and that will be another episode another time. But I remember one of the speakers, he got up and he goes, and he talked about exactly what you said. I'm going to time, which is finite. You only get 24 hours in a day, and
Yeah.
then you have money. And so if you're trading your time for money, and you're happy with that, great. But if you're not, eventually you've got to figure this out. And he came up with some genius ideas. Again, another episode, another time. But it's just very interesting that it's like, it's true. Some people are willing to give up their time for $10 an hour. And because they don't know any different. That's how they were raised. I mean, this is generational cycle. And if you get out and break free, that's amazing. But a lot of people don't know how. And so if they can break free, you use the words revenge business, which I love words because there's so much meaning behind it. So can you expand on that?
Absolutely. A revenge business is the ultimate plot twist, right? It's taking all that energy that corporate drained from you and you use it to build something that's entirely yours. For me, that's really personal. After years of sacrificing my own mental health for companies that did not value me in the end, I was determined to create something that aligned with my values and passions. And I remember the first time I signed a client who told me, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed. And it felt like the universe was telling me, Nadja, you're on the right path. So for me, a revenge business is not about bitterness. It's about freedom. And it's about proving that you can create a life and a career on your terms. And that's my way of my business is my way of saying, you didn't break me. You helped me build something unstoppable. So I was able to flip the script for me. And in the end, yeah, revenge business is just a term that is very relatable and makes people smile, makes people think.
Mhm.
That's what I want. I want to create this movement to realize that you're not made to be miserable from 9 to 5, 5 days a week, or even 6 days a week, or however, whatever your work hours are. It's you only the 24 hours in the day, you just said that is your life, your lifetime.
Yep.
It's like playing a video game and you have one life left. You play a little different, and we need to be very aware that this is your one shot.
Yes.
So let's make the most out of it and take back control of that.
So I like to hear the story of the how. So walk me through. You walk out of your office and, or maybe you didn't quit yet. You waited till you got your first client, but how did you get your first client? What were your steps?
So the most important part is to become really clear on what that is that you want to offer, what that problem is that you want to solve. And with my background, the majority of my career I spent in marketing, building brands and growing brands. And so what kind of like my superpower is to really crack the code on what the true problem is that I want to solve for my audience. And so for me, it was that I help people escape the 9 to 5 and build a business because I've built many, many businesses before. And so I can translate that knowledge and break it down, cut out all the fluff, and make it and help people really with actionable advice and coaching to get there. And so my first advice would be if you know that thing that you want to do, it could be a product, it could be a service, whatever that is, think about what's that problem that you're solving, really starting at the emotional need of how can I help people? And then the next part is going to be about the messaging. So for me, I arrived at the break up with your 9 to 5 because I went to a lot of networking events. Get out there. If you have this idea, you're not 100% sure where to start, talk to as many people as you can. For me, it was my Chamber of Commerce. It was women's networking groups. There are plenty out there, online, in person. And I just kept talking about this idea of my vision of helping people to build their own business. And over time, this whole phrase of escape the 9 to 5, it just resonated with people. So try that. Try to talk as much as you can about your business idea, about your vision, about your mission, about that thing that is in your heart that you want to help people with, and see what sticks. And once you develop that as a talk track, then go out and replicate it. For me, it's LinkedIn. Go out there for the channels. You don't have to do the TikTok dances. You really don't. Start with one channel. For me, it was LinkedIn, and get it right. See how you can interact with people, build meaningful relationships. And that's how I got my first, handful of clients that people just got to know me a little. So put yourself out there and have meaningful, real conversations. And that's for me how I shaped my message and how I found my audience.
I like that because people don't really talk about how you get your audience and what you do. And so I love that you shared that. Thank you very much. Okay, so you started your business, things are going well, and now you're here where you're at. What is one piece of advice that you would give people now that you know and you've been through it? One piece of advice that you wish you would have known starting out?
Mm. I would say it's about the fear. It's about that fear of failure that was holding me back to take that leap. And the advice that I would want to give me just, a while ago was that fear is normal. That fear is nothing else but your brain trying to protect you from the unknown. And what I learned is that staying stuck is so much more scary than taking the leap. And what really helped me was while I was still in my role in corporate, sitting at the head of the table in the boardrooms, like I was all the way up there. And I asked myself, can I see myself here in 10 years? And that answer was always no. And so, what I would advise really, if you're scared, that is a sign that you're standing at the edge of something new, of growth. And fear is not a stop sign. So don't take that. It's a compass.
Mhm.
You don't have to have all the answers to take the first step. That's a myth. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have it all figured out yet. Trust me that you're much more resourceful and capable than you think, because that's what some of those mechanisms in the corporate world tell you. So I would always recommend take the leap. Obviously, you want to have a plan, you want to have financial stability for you and your family, but then take the leap and figure it out as you go. And find people in your corner that can support you. You always need your own stack of your personal cheerleaders and mentors and people who believe in you and root for you when you might feel down for a little bit. So that's find that support system and then go because you can do it. If
Mhm.
you have these thoughts, if you know you're hungry and you want more, that is the ultimate asset as an entrepreneur, to be hungry and be curious and have the courage and go out there.
So good. I'm a visual person, and there's two things I wanted to comment on that our brains, because, and if you wanted to go through the science, but the hunting and gathering society, right? So all those hunters and gatherers, every single day you'd wake up fearful that your life would end because you're going to be eaten by something or whatever. So the hair on the back of your neck, like you were just trained, it was innate and it was instinctive that you had to be careful and watch out. So you could go through whatever you want, so the science, the history, whatever. But the fact is, we still have that in us. And we're still, our brain, I again learned at this conference, this guy was amazing, but he talked about how our brains protect us, like you talked about. And so the fear, like it's going to tell you, oh, don't do that because it could cause da 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 da. So it's supposed to be like your mom when you just learned how to swim and you're out there with your floaties, don't go in the deep end, you know? That's your brain telling you that. And so you have to literally tell your brain, I'm not fearful, I'm not this and that. And you can rewire it. And so you have to tell yourself that because your brain is going to constantly try to put fear. And some people call it imposter syndrome. Some people, it doesn't matter. The fact is you have to recognize this is my brain talking. This is not my heart. And so I need to make sure that I can override my brain. So that's the first thing. The second thing I thought of was when you talked about your 9 to 5 in that corporate, I think of the conference room, right? The conference room is your prison cell. And the longer you're there, the more comfortable you get. And you tend to have this confidence level where you become, because I've been there, I know like you just, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that because, and it's not, you have to just like, I'm walking out of that conference room door and I'm not coming back. Otherwise, you're a prison to yourself. And I love that you help people, especially the 9 to 5, because that is my audience. That if I can get people to realize there's more to life than punching a time clock for 10, 20, $50 an hour, $80 an hour, the freedom you get. Like I'm able to come to these conferences that are literally life-changing because of it, where I have people that I know very well, they couldn't get the time off because they have no vacation time. It's like there's so much more to life. And so that's the thing that I want the listeners to hear is that you can have what you want. You just have to take that leap of faith.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's so powerful the way you phrase it. And to me, what really resonates is the part of you are not your thoughts.
Mhm.
Your thoughts don't own you. You can truly, for me, it's very powerful. I learned to journal, and I'm journaling every day for almost a year now. Very, very having my regiment and having my night routine. And the journaling is such a powerful tool to implement positive mantras in it. And for me, my mantra is whatever's meant for me will find me.
Right.
And when it's meant for me, it cannot miss me.
Mhm.
So that helped me to stop the push and the hustle and to stop seeking validation from the outside because I started to truly believe that all I need is within me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the universe or whatever your energetic force is that you believe in for yourself, it will listen. And
Mhm.
most importantly, your body will listen, and you will find so much peace and balance in that truth. And for me, that was truly a game changer in my mental health, in my personal and business relationships, that I truly sit in my stillness, in my knowing that I'm in line with my mission for whatever I'm here for. That's what I'm doing here on this earth. And it's very powerful to not let old programming and old beliefs and limiting mindsets control your life.
Yep.
Powerful.
I love that you talked about old mindsets because again, this lady that was at the conference, she's made $28 million, right? And she gave my speech. Like I firmly believe, I'm a religious gal, that we are called to do certain things. And if we don't step up to do what we're supposed to do, God's going to put someone else because he needs the work done. So she
Yes.
gets up, she gives this beautiful speech. She talks about how she's made $28 million. And I'm listening there. I'm like, that's my speech. Like she's giving my speech. Dang. And it hasn't been very long. Like shame on me. And she brought up people. I thought it was amazing that people from the audience, and this represented this person, like a person from her past, meaning herself, and this time of her past, and this time of her past, and this time of her past. And it was very, very impactful to me because it's like letting go of those people. Like I'm divorced. Sally Sue, Charisse at the divorce stage. I'm going to let you go. I don't need to focus on you anymore, and other things. And so I just think that if we can, like you talk about the mindset, getting rid of the old person and letting the new person in, I think is fantastic. You also talked about routines, and journaling was one of them. And I know our time is short, but what are some routines that you do that have been game changers for building your business?
When I left corporate, I completely had to rethink how I approach every time and every day and my whole energy. So, because all of a sudden there's no calendar, no schedule that popped up every day that I just had to go through in the meetings. And you know what I'm talking about is that rhythm, that external rhythm that dictates when you go to work, when you leave, when you eat, when you take a call. And the biggest shift for me was to align my routines with my energy and not with a clock, or my energy and my power in that day and not some meeting that popped up. And now I start my meetings, there you go, my mornings with creative work. That's when my mind is the sharpest. And then I also schedule non-negotiable breaks to recharge. That is something that helped me to create a structure in the day. And I do the same also for the weekends, because that's how I work best. I flourish in some sort of structure, but on my terms. And so it is important that when you take that leap and when you all of a sudden out of the 9 to 5 framework or whatever your employment looked like, that you still create a framework that works for you. And that was for me the the strategy to stay sane in every day could look however I want it to be. Where to start? It can be very overwhelming. I think the most important habit that I build is the daily check-ins with myself. Every day I'm asking myself, am I building a life that I love? And if the answer is not yes, every single day, then I make adjustments. That is for me the ultimate power. And your calendar should reflect, your calendar should reflect what you value and not just your tasks, if that makes sense. And for me, the best routine is not rigid, but it is something that fuels your energy and passion, and really lights you up and not burn you out.
That is a beautiful tagline. Am I building the life that I love? That because really that is everything. If you're not, then why are you doing it? Especially as an entrepreneur. I saw a Facebook post once. They said if you can get up at 7 a.m. to earn money for somebody else, then you can get up at 5 a.m. to earn money for yourself. I mean, it was more beautiful than that, but basically it's commit to yourself. You owe it to yourself. So I love that.
Yeah, I can tell you one last thought that was very, very incredible. When I first met my own business coach, because coaches need coaches, therapists need therapists. So when I met my business coach, the first thing that he said, and that's really stuck with me until today, that's why I in the end ended up working with him, was his definition of integrity. And he said, integrity is holding promises that you make to yourself. And it can be that I don't want to drink a glass of wine, I don't want to drink alcohol, or I want to go to the gym. And in the end, you have these little excuses, or I don't really like my job, but you don't do it. If you start keeping promises to yourself, that's how you live a life of true integrity. That was for me, it was a game changer for me as well.
I think it also builds confidence, because if you can hold yourself accountable and do something for yourself and have the integrity, then it builds confidence that you believe in yourself, you owe it to yourself, and you trust yourself to be able to go and do other things. So I think they go hand in hand. That's great.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, if our listeners wanted to find you, because they're like, I want to break through the 9 to 5, how do they find you?
I am most active on LinkedIn. I share a lot of thoughts and advice on there. That's the easiest way to reach me. So Nadja Fromm on LinkedIn. I bet we can also put some link in the show notes. Just reach out, send me a DM. I love talking. And even if you're not at all in the place to work with a coach, please reach out, because I love meeting people. I love to learn about, different stories, different backgrounds, and just have a conversation. Maybe I can help, maybe we can help each other. I'd love to have that conversation.
Thank you so much, Nadia. And moms and unbreakable entrepreneurs, I hope that you have taken from this. There are so many golden nuggets that really resonated with me. I'm sure that they probably can resonate with you. And if you're thinking, you know what, I'm just tired, then get out of your burnout, figure out what you want, because it is possible. You can have it. So go out and make it a great day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.